Okay, now we are going to continue welcoming Elena, Cristóbal for our fourth topic on the agenda, leveraging Galileo-sourced data, the importance of highly accurate and reliable geolocation data. Elena is a civil engineer specialized in urban planning with over 7 years of experience in the transport and mobility industry. Recently landed in Spain after developing her career in the UK, Elena is now playing her role as an innovation project manager at CARNET Barcelona, where she's focusing on thinking and creating new solutions to help Europe drive the way towards the new mobility paradigm that societies are demanding. Welcome, Elena, again, and please, you can start presenting when ready.
Hello, everyone. I was actually sad that Philip and blockchain discussion finished, but I'll try to make it as easier and smooth as possible. Let me share my screen. So yeah, as Lucas mentioned, I'm going to be talking today about the importance of highly accurate and reliable geolocation data. So all the, and excuse me, I'm going to take my headphones out. Can you still hear me? I'll take that as a yes again.
Yes.
So yeah, after all this discussion that we've been having on blockchain and mobility and how the future network can be developed, I'm going to go back to basics on how the data that we're going to be introducing in the blockchain, the data that we're going to be using for that future mobility services needs to go back. So I'm Elena, as Lucas mentioned, and I work for CARNET. This is an open hub initiated by CEAT, the Polytechnic University of Catalonia, and also Volkswagen. So our main focus is working within the automotive and mobility research and innovation field. So one of the projects that we're doing at the moment to shape that mobility paradigm that we were discussing during all this session is MOLIERE. So MOLIERE wants to create this mobility data marketplace, which is basically an open Wikipedia of mobility data. But the basis of all of it is the use of Galileo. So as all of us have listened during the session, we've been talking about data. We've been talking about how to move it around, how to use it around, and how to make it just one so that everything is decentralized and there is this integration of services. But coming back to basics again, this can't happen without Galileo. So what is Galileo? Galileo is the European satellite that is bringing a lot of benefits. Some of these slides have been given to us by the European Space Agency. So basically the benefits, I'm going to go brief because I know that we have all extended, so I'll go straight into the mobility. But the key benefits is that all the multi-frequency, the high accuracy service and the authentication services that it's providing. What it does generate is that it's providing an open service, so completely essential for that open mobility that we've been discussing, but it's also giving all this accuracy, which is reducing the error at street level resolution to less than 20 centimeters. So once we go into the accuracy, it also provides this continuity of data, which goes around and around, and it's very difficult to stop also because it's a civil service. It's not like GPS, for example. It's been open for actually for army or military purposes, and then it's been considered to the public for its use. But in this case, this is a civil service completely invented and made from the European Union. So that's one of the great things that it has. But it's also developing all these, let me go one back. It's developing all these technologies which allow for the authentication of data. So it basically prevents from spoofing. It does prevent, so it allows authentication of both the commercial service, but also all the navigation. So you can check that all the data that you're receiving is actually from the Galileo, from all the satellites that it's saying it comes from, but also it tells you that it's actually happening. So when we go into mobility and apply all these principles and all this innovation that Galileo is presenting into mobility, it does open a lot of doors to all this innovation and all these future services that MOLIERE is actually studying at the moment. So as I was previously saying, the first thing of this is that public ownership means public priority. I was saying earlier, all this is civil, so there shouldn't be a reason for interruption of data. There shouldn't be a reason why the European Union would not want to share all the data that it's taken within, of course, the regulations and the law that our colleagues are talking about later on. But it's clear that there can't be a mobility data marketplace without being an open source of data, which is public, for the public, to the public. So that's the first step that we need to consider. And actually, in this situation, that really dramatic situation that we're living out at the moment between Russia and all the other countries that are involved in all this, and I won't come into this topic, but what could happen if this was not a public or a civil service is that at some point the military, or because of army or war purposes, the service could stop. So at the moment, everyone is kind of working on GPS. You've got your Google Maps, you've got a lot of things, and there are people who are already using all the Galileo and other sources of data, other satellites. But if right now USA stops all this, it would be catastrophic. So the first point of Galileo and going into the Galileo's data, starting using it because it's the European one, it's also because you are actually ensuring that there is this continuity of service and it's just for public use. So also regarding all the mobility of the service, public transport, the demand responsive transport, all the services and solutions that are going into the market at the moment, because people are starting being tired of all the things that the excessive use, not the use, but the excessive use of private single car occupancy trips are actually going into, or the way that it's actually impacting the way we live and the way that we move, is that we need to provide effective shared transport services. And without Galileo and all these accuracy and the high accuracy service that it's at the moment investigating and that it's coming to a reality, there couldn't be this. We were talking previously with our IMF partners about how people want to go out and know where the cycle is, or how people want to go out and get a cab and know exactly how fast it's going to come, or all this real-time information. It couldn't happen at the moment. We've all gone through this experience of going on Google Maps on your phone and suddenly thinking that you're in one place, and it happens that the phone says, well, actually you're in the middle of a building, where that's not true. So with Galileo's use, these would go down, and that way you could locate every single fleet of this biking sharing system, or where is the service that you want to actually going to use, how much or how long you're actually going to be taken, or how long you need to wait for the next bus to take place. Those are all solutions that actually exist, but they don't really deliver what they promised, in that there is this lack of accuracy that is actually meaning that some people are not willing to change or shift towards those sustainable modes. Then we go, of course, into the autonomous vehicles. How are we going to be developing a solution or a technology that is going to be driving you safely if we don't know where we are, and there is not that completely reliable communication between vehicles, if there is not that completely optimization of the infrastructure. So again, Galileo on those 20 centimeters of error that they are going to be delivering in the near future on the at the street level, reducing all the interferences, reducing all the multipath errors that that are normal to this type of technologies. Without that, there is no way that all the autonomous vehicle solutions can come into the market, and not just come into the market, but be used by people. If people don't rely on this, if people don't have that safety perception, there is no way that something is going to be commercialized and something is going to deliver all the benefits that actually can do. So of course, without the data, and this is I would say that it's pretty obvious, but it's actually something that we need to remember, because sometimes we are working too much on new solutions and new things, and there is no real need to reinvent the wheel. So let's go back to the beginning. There can't be mobility, any kind of policies, but in this case, in the case that we're talking about today, there can't be mobility decision making without data that it's actually accurate, that it's continuous, that it tells you what people does, not people but users, respecting all the information, respecting all the data, and respecting all that privacy, but still being open. If you don't know that people are moving one way, if you don't know the demands that you're having, if you don't know whether people are going faster than they should, or if you don't know that there are parking issues, if they don't know what's the bus route that it's actually taking longer, if you don't, all those type of things, you can't make any decisions. You can't work your city around the existing problems. Could we do something with the data that we already have? Well, probably no, because if we could, we would have done it already. So the reality in here is that the solution that MOLIERE is proposing with Galileo, but also the blockchain technology that our colleagues have been explaining earlier, will allow all this decentralization of data, will allow all this integrity and integration of mobility service providers and users and applications, so that everything works for everyone. And then authorities and the people on consultation can take or can make their decisions knowing exactly what the needs are and what the problems are exactly. Then we go back into payment. Of course, our colleague Philip has explained all this a lot already, but again, whereas we are having this layer of security in the blockchain solution, Galileo is also providing at a different level this authentication and encryption of data, which allows you to get that that certainty that the trip has taken place, that the user who's actually claiming to have done the trip has done it, that the service provider who's actually claiming to have provided service has that is for real, and it also gives you that ability to cross-check that the mobility service provider and the user's data align. This is within seconds, because again, you don't need a lot of close nodes to have all this. This is one of the things that Galileo is promising. It's global, so it doesn't really matter whether you're in Singapore or whether you're in Barcelona, here where we are today, or it doesn't really matter where you are. Galileo is global, and it allows you from this, or it will, they are in developing stage at the moment, like very close future, but within the MOLIERE field, it will allow you to make all this data so that all the financial thing, or the financial side of the mobility systems do work under safe circumstances, not just because of the blockchain solution, but also at a very, very basic an initial level, which is like the collection of data. So of course, there are cases that have already been using Galileo. Some of them are not in a mobility industry, but for example, all this technology that I just explained have cases of success within the, for example, industrial industry, or all the all the other fields where you've got a tractor and it gives you with some cameras, they tells you exactly how the grass is growing or how it is. So it does allow you to make decisions on things. And this is technology that is actually there. But on mobility, we're still at a very early stage. This is one of the reasons of MOLIERE project going on and being pushed. But for example, the buses of Madrid, of the EMT, which is the municipal transport company of Madrid, is already using Galileo in their buses to allow for this real-time information, to allow for this users' data on what works well and what does not work well. So the Madrid municipality is actually making some decisions on bus routes and things like that just because of the use of Galileo. Then this AMB, well, BC, which is bike in Spanish, it's coming. This is not something that is present at the moment, but it will also use this to get the accurate position and timing information again to make decisions on how big the fleet needs to be, whether you need any more services, or whether there is some specific location where there are parking issues, for example. So this is one of the potential uses that the use of Galileo can have. And yeah, in summary, basically, you can't have an open, accurate, and reliable geolocation data without it. You really can't have that Wikipedia of open data, which we're going to be using with the blockchain, which is moving data. So if you want this MDM to be trusted, to be useful, to be commercial, and so that everyone can benefit from it as well, you just need to use Galileo. So that is it. If you want to know more from the MOLIERE project, you've got the links there. Also from us, from CARNET, helping in this project, in the research, etc. You've got CARNET, and then of course the main beneficiaries of this and the main people who we need to thank them for this is the European Space Agency. So you've got the links in there, and I welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Elena, for your presentation. And yes, this is time for your Q&A, and we already have a question from Jessica. What can that change the job of police officers on the street? Like make it easier for the transportation?
Yeah, first thing that it occurs to me is that, and one of the things that it's actually being used for the autonomous vehicle solution is that there is this service when you have a timely and accurate identification of issues or of an accident, you can actually lead or notify all these police officers or emergency services that something has happened. But also if these national bodies start using this type of services in their own vehicles, for example, the vehicle or the prediction tool can actually let you know about traffic, like real traffic, not just like one user told you 5 minutes ago that there is a traffic jam in this road, no, but like real traffic, so that the route that they can choose, for example, will be the much faster. Perhaps is not the closer one, but it will be the fastest one. So yeah, the moment between interaction, it will allow interaction, of course, it will allow for reliability, it will allow for immediate help if required, and in the exact position. Is not in the street on the corner, but it's like exactly happening here. So I think there are a lot of public and civil uses in there which will benefit everyone. I don't know if that answers your question, Jessica.
Thank you, Elena. You really explains a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Jessica, for participating. And I want to encourage anyone else if there is any other questions for Elena.
Well, if I may, this is Josep from Factual.
Hi, Josep.
Hi, Elena. I mean, I pretty know the answer, but I would like you to elaborate a little bit more because on some of the use cases that we are currently developing within the MOLIERE project, where we kind of demonstrate the added value of relying on Galileo-sourced data in more concrete applications. So can you just highlight some example of the kind of use cases that we are developing these days and demonstrating within the project?
Fantastic. Yeah, of course, as I previously briefly went through, this is being tested on mobility as a service, on shared cars, shared vehicles, or the biking public services that are around. The use case that I am more, how you say this, more close with at the moment, because we are closely collaborating with it, is this prediction tool that the Polytechnic University of Catalonia is developing. So what the UPC is actually doing is getting all the data and developing a prediction tool which is able to let you know how buses, and this is for buses, but it will be able to be extrapolated and go, or scalable to any other public service, or to any other service. Actually, when everything is integrated, it will go like, boom, amazing. So it's able to predict what's going to be the route timing, depending on the time of the day, depending on weather, depending on a lot of variables that you can come into the equations. And they are actually developing all these logarithms where the intelligent artificial, sorry, the AI will be able to say, well, actually, this is going to be the quickest route, or don't go. What I was explaining earlier, like go that way or go that other. Perhaps as a user, you want to go to the to route 1 instead of route 2 because you're actually being informed that route 1 will take shorter and it will stop you in one way. But then we also go on to demand responsive transport. This tool will be able to somehow inform what's the best route to follow if you want to serve all these users who are actually taking or wanting to use this demand responsive transport system. So yeah, that's like a super quick brief. I don't know if you want to add something or ask any other questions.